Um, I'm going to talk to you about a project that I made in the context of another project which is named DataBeans to build an object database, meaning with NoSQL. I developed this project since 2006. And meanwhile, I had to, I wanted to do separation of concern because in a database you have mainly two of these concerns. One is persistence on typically a hard disk, and the other one is remote communication with clients. So I sort of cut this project in two. One is persistence, and it's still named DataBeans. It's purely local. And the project I'm talking to you today about, which is Remote4j. I started to develop it in Scala, but with Java 8 and Clojure, it was possible to translate it to Java. So I did, because I get a bigger audience for, of course, hence the 4G, simply. First, I am going to make a recall about RMI, which is a means you have in Java to do remote communication. It works with first a remote interface, and as you can see, it's cluttered with lots of boilerplates that you have to add to your business object. Here, the bank account must extend the remote interface java.net.remote. You also have to add a throw annotation in case underlying a network phase. And so it's not very clear what your business object does. Moreover, it has to be an interface because it will be used both on the client and on the server. On the server, you will have an implementation which I will get to soon. And on the client side, you will have what we call a stub, which will forward the method invocation to the server. Now for the implementation. So on the server side, what you have here is the implementation of the deposit method. It simply adds the amount to the balance. A withdraw method, the same negative-wise, and a method here to get the balance. How do you use this? First, you have to deploy it on the server side. Naming .rebind here is a RMI thing, which just associates your implementation to just a name, which you will be able to reference on, from your client side. On the client side, what you do is naming the same .lookup. Then you have to cast it into our remote interface. And then you can call method just like you are on the server side. Here, in my example, I deposit 10 euros, for example, get the balance, give me 10, and then withdraw the same amount, get balance, 0 again. The idea of my project, Remote4j, is to use this mechanism to implement a more general remote object which you will be able to use to do any computation, not just predefined ones. It's a monad, meaning it just has, I come from the object world, so for me it's just like a pattern, how do you call this? A design pattern, sorry. So a monad has a map function, flat map, and here this it's not pure, but you have here this get function to open the monad box. This remote interface, this new remote interface, also has implementation. The map method just puts the content of the monad out, applies the function to it, f, and re-encapsulates it in a new monad. Flat map works the same. So what you have is a remote object which you will be able to pass closures to be able to do whatever computation you like on the remote side. How do we use this remote object, this remote monad? Now we can define business objects that's totally exempt from the former boilerplates, meaning here you have a genuine bank account which does just what a bank account should do. Here you just have a throw annotation for something that has sense business-wise. Overdrawn exception. The implementation is what you should expect again for withdrawal. And if you exceed your balance, it throws the overdrawn exception. And lastly, get balance, same as before. How do you use Remote4j with this business object? On the server side, it works pretty much like for former remote objects. Instead of naming, you have here remote, which is an object I have defined in my library. And you do rebind as well. But instead of a remote object, here you have your business object, your normal object, plain old Java object, if you like. On the client side, you make a reference to your name obj here. You get a remote object, and you will have to use for comprehension to deal with the fact that you don't access directly to your business object, but you have to get through the remote monad. So here, obj is a remote object. A is on the server side the genuine value, you apply deposit method, and yield gives it back as a new remote object on the client side. The same for getting the balance. So at this point, you can either have the value to travel the network if you call the get method, which will cause the value to be serialized. Here, our value is a float, so it's serializable, but this may not be always the case. So the second possibility that you have is on the last statement here to give the reference to your remote reference. You will give it in your for comprehension along with the former remote object, and RB is a remote reference to your value B, and you withdraw this value from the bank account A with this call function call, and to get and here I have added the return value, the balance as a return value to the for comprehension. So to summarize, here your value, your balance value will not travel the network because it will you will address it through this remote reference, and it will not have to go physically on the server side. Additionally, as you can see, you can batch statements, whereas in normal RMI, if you issue two methods, it will do two network operations. Here, this is batch, meaning A.withdraw B, A get balance are in the same closure which is sent over the network. So, and lastly, because on the client you have to finally get something to display to the user, again use get. So I finished, so thank you for attention.